Hey there and welcome. You know that feeling when time just kind of blurs together, one week rolling into the next? Well, today we're going to talk about something really cool, the liturgical year. It's this ancient way of thinking that's all about giving our time some real meaning, a real rhythm.
So, here's what we've got on tap. We're going to start with what this whole sacred rhythm thing is all about. Then, we'll dig into its super old roots. After that, we'll take a trip through the different seasons, see how people actually live this stuff, and wrap it all up with why it's, still a big deal today.
All right, first up, a sacred rhythm. And look, we're not just talking about a calendar you hang on the wall here. Nope, this is way deeper. It's more like a spiritual heartbeat for the year, a really intentional way to experience time passing. And that really gets to a huge question for all of us, right? I mean, in this crazy, fast-paced world where everything feels urgent, how do you even stop? How do you pause and mark the moments that actually truly matter? Well, for Christians, the answer is the liturgical year. And what's cool is that it isn't a straight line, like from January to December and you're done. No, it's a cycle. It's this beautiful loop of prayer and celebration that retells the story of God's journey with humanity. It's kind of like taking this amazing spiritual pilgrimage every single year. You just keep coming back to it. Okay, so if this is a journey, then every journey needs a map, right? That brings us to our second section, ancient roots. So where did this spiritual map even come from? Let's go back in time and check it out. The foundations for this are super old. It actually all starts with ancient Jewish festivals, which were already tied to the seasons. The early Christians kind of took that foundation and built on it, adding their own major celebrations like Epiphany and Ascension Day. And then, over hundreds of years, it just kept growing and evolving into the more complex, really structured calendar that many denominations use today. All right, so let's get into the good stuff, the journey itself. How do you actually navigate this map? Well, it's all about knowing the major landmarks, right? The seasons that give the whole year its unique feel and its natural flow. So, the whole year, I mean everything, pivots around two massive events, two great mysteries: the Incarnation, the birth of Jesus, and the resurrection, his rising from the dead. Think of them like two suns, and every other season and celebration just orbits around them. And those two orbits create two totally distinct cycles. First, you've got the Christmas cycle. This one is all about anticipation, about hope. It kicks off with Advent, which is a time of waiting and watching. Then it builds up to the huge celebration of Christmas. Then you have the Easter cycle, and this one has a completely different vibe. It's much more focused on repentance and ultimately on the incredible promise of redemption. So, let's zoom in on that Easter cycle for a second, because this is really the climax of the entire year. It starts with Lent, this really solemn preparatory season, 40 days of deep, deep reflection. Then, bam, the mood just shifts dramatically on Palm Sunday with this moment of triumph. But then, it all builds to the explosive joy of Easter Sunday. I mean, that's the ultimate celebration of new life and resurrection. It's such a powerful story. Okay, so what about all the time in between these huge festivals? Well, that's called ordinary time. And I know what you're thinking. Ordinary sounds kind of boring, right? But it's not at all. It's actually this super essential space for quiet reflection, for growth. It's the time when all the lessons from those big celebrations can really sink in and take root in your day-to-day life. Okay, moving on to section 4, living the liturgy. So we've got the map, we know the seasons, but how do people actually live this stuff? How does it go from being an idea to something you do? Let's take a look. This is where the liturgical year really comes alive, through the actual practices. See, every season has its own unique prayers, its own hymns and music. Key moments get marked by important sacraments like baptism. And the big celebrations? Oh man, they become these full-on sensory experiences with specific sights, sounds, even smells like incense. It's about engaging all your senses. And all of this brings us to our final section, and honestly, maybe the most important question of all. Why does any of this still matter? I mean, really, in our world today, what's the point? What's the destination of this whole annual journey? So why does it matter? Well, for starters, it gives us a framework for our time. It's a reminder that our lives are part of a way, way bigger story. It's also a living, breathing connection to the past, linking people today with centuries of tradition. And maybe most importantly, it's a way to consciously celebrate God's presence, not just as something that happened way back when, but right here, right now. When you get right down to it, it's not just a schedule. It's been called a rich tapestry, and I absolutely love that description. It's this idea of weaving together prayer and worship and celebration, all to connect with a heritage and a presence that's so much bigger than just ourselves. So we kind of end up right back where we started, thinking about time. In a world that is just constantly pulling at us for our attention, what can an ancient rhythm like this teach us about how we experience our own lives, our own journey? It's definitely something to think about. Hey, thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.